All rise for the flag salute.
We'll shut that fan off or not?
That's all right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I presume we're on camera.
Yeah, it's going. Move the cursor off of that, where it's at. Okay, it just, yeah. I couldn't read if it was start or stop. I guess I'll first open up by saying that we realized we had audio problems the last couple weeks that we were unaware of. Button got pushed on the equipment that we didn't realize, so hopefully we will be recording from now on, and sorry for any inconvenience. Okay. Everybody have a chance to check out the minutes from last week? Were there any additions or corrections?
I didn't see any.
I didn't see any, Mr. Chairman.
I moved to approve the minutes.
It's been moved
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
and seconded to accept the minutes from last week. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passed 3-0. Any committee and comments or committee reports? Jack, do you have any?
No.
There was an adult advisory or adult JCAT meeting, and she emailed Jeff and she forgot to put me on, so I was unaware of it, so I don't know what was discussed or what was said.
Okay. And I didn't have any this last week. I do have an ambulance advisory board Friday. Okay, we're already down to new business.
Are we still planning on meeting Thursday if someone will check and see if Patsy has the numbers?
Hopefully, Jamie will be in later and she can talk to us about that. She was also supposed to bring us some information on the Eclipse Day, what the different department heads thought, so hopefully she'll be in later. Okay, I guess the first thing I've got we have Joe Bowen was in this morning and got a couple things. One of them is a amendment sheet to the ADA compliant bathroom on the second floor. We have already approved the different things that need to be done in the financial end of it, but this is to sign off for the historical Historical Society in Topeka. So, do I hear a motion to allow me to sign off for the county on Historical Society?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. He had also approached us with the purchase order for the City Hall curb and sidewalk program to replace sidewalk on the southeast corner of 5th and Parallel. This is the west sidewalk only, which is running north and south with ADA ramps. Includes 74 feet of 5 foot wide of 4-inch sidewalk, and another 30 feet of straight curb. And we also have 2 ADA ramps on the corner, and the amount of the PO is $2,367.50.
I move to approve.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved and seconded. Any other comments or anything on? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all opposed? Pass 3-0. Do you need that or? Okay.
During lunch break, I drove by where they're demolishing the, I think it was B&D bar and the electric company. And I noticed the outfit that was demolishing had a truck there, and they was dumping debris in to that truck, brick. So maybe they're hauling it to our landfill, or I don't know if they're taking it back. It's Magic Demolishing Company, but I noticed they was,
Did you think that we were hauling it or?
I didn't know who was hauling it.
Well, I mean, I was just wondering what the question.
Well, I didn't know if they was taking some of the good stuff back to St. Joe, because they had a pile over here, and it was all real nice brick. And they was dumping it in a Bobcat into one of their own trucks.
Imagine that's just the outfit it's a Missouri outfit that's
Yeah, St. Joe.
tearing it down.
Maybe they're just I wouldn't think they'd use that type of truck, though, to haul all of it out there, but maybe they are.
Maybe
It's
they
no
were
big
just,
deal.
maybe that was the Clean Rebel. Maybe they were keeping it separate for a Clean Rebel pile and.
I don't know. I just noticed it. I'd say it's about 3/4 down.
Just. Thank you. I guess that will go with this. You want to see any of the bills? Or do you want to look at any of the bills? No. Okay, we're going to have a very, very light meeting again. Our next appointment's at 2, so
Do you want to talk a little bit about Country Club Road on live camera, so those that watch will have some knowledge of that?
Yeah,
Make some questions answered.
I talked with Dennis Foster, I guess it was yesterday, about it. I had heard kind of through the grapevine that things had stopped there, and I think there were several complaints that the appraiser's office had received concerning property values and thinking their property values should be lower because this property was adjacent to them. And I think there were people that went online and made complaints through the county's website, which they may do, and I think Northeast Kansas gets a copy of that.
do you think people heard that? Because I had, through the email chain, I had suggested that to
Yeah.
the appraiser that the people that came up for their hearing, maybe it would be a good avenue for them to file a complaint.
I don't think they had a hearing, they just paid their taxes under protest, didn't they, or did they ask for hearing?
But then, didn't they
I
have,
think they asked for valuation hearings, and
Oh.
I think she had the informal meetings with them.
I
just
see.
had
Just the first
individual
step.
meetings, yeah. But I'd kind of suggested possibly that they contact any KES, just so, squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing. And, but anyway, I'd only suggested that, so maybe the appraiser had contacted them and let them know that, because that came down Thursday, Friday, or yesterday, yesterday. If that had already gotten out, I'm surprised it went that fast, so.
Well, the owner decided what they were gonna do, and they started, but they just didn't finish it. I mean, what they did was good, they just need to finish it up.
And Dennis had said that they had hired somebody to tear down the mobile home, and the speculation, I think, was that they were going to scrap it, and they were going to be paid something for the scrapping, and kind of lost interest in it 2/3 of the way through, which probably makes it look worse than if they had done nothing and stopped there. Dennis did tell me also that he thinks the problem with the runoff is no more, that he doesn't believe that there's any runoff from the sanitary sewer system, that if there is runoff, it's from the animals that are there. We do not have any restriction on the number of animals that a person could have, and that's because we don't make any distinction between a 1/10 of an acre lot or a 160 acre farm. And of course there would be a big difference in how you might treat those, but as far as the county regulations go, we don't have any restriction on the number of animals that were there. Now, part of that discussion I had with him also was about the sanitation code that they are going to bring to us, or bring to you, I should say, for consideration of some changes. He also mentioned in there they were considering trying to add a section on nuisances to the sanitation code and a section on water. We don't have the water section now. There's some state statutes regarding sharing wells. I don't know how often that happens, where wells are shared between more than one residence that are under separate ownership.
Oh, I'm sure there is, so I wouldn't think there'd be.
Not many that I know of. Most rural residences, if they have a well, have their own. Sometimes they have a couple wells for one residence. You have a couple low-producing wells. And
In any event, I told him that I would get a hearing set on the nuisance case that we have filed. We have an injunction case that's pending, and things have sort of been on hold because they were working and cooperating with trying to bring things into compliance, and he believes that's stalled. So
The owner doesn't live within Atchison County, do they?
she does not.
I didn't think she
And
had.
I think she lives part-time in Lee's Summit, and I can't remember where the other, maybe around Iatan, but she doesn't live here. And she has always, at least when I've spoken to her, indicated that she will do everything she can to try to get the property into compliance and do. She's always had a cooperative attitude. I don't know where the breakdown is. So, but perhaps having a scheduling conference with the court would bring everybody to the table to talk about it, and we'll either get back on track, or we'll know that we're not going to get back on track with it. So,
How long has this been an issue?
The last 6 months. Well, the issue's been there, but brought to our light about the last 6 months, hasn't it?
I don't
Maybe not
recall
quite, maybe not-
when we
maybe
filed the
not 6.
lawsuit. It's been several months. It wasn't, well, I'll be wrong if I guess a date.
Oh, seemed to me like it's been a year since it was maybe first reported or brought to any KES's attention. Would be my guess. Seems like this has been ongoing for quite a while because it seemed like there was an initial contact and it seemed like it languished for quite a while before we actually started something with them, and then it kind of languished again here a while back while there were some court proceedings and things going on with some of the residents up there.
Well, there's only one resident there.
Well, I don't know if it was a resident or, yeah, I think it was.
It was an adjacent landowner down that creek, I think, that was doing the complaining, or several of them. I don't know, creek ditch, I guess is the proper word.
There are 3 trailers there, but only one of them was occupied. I think one might have been used for storage or something, but they had significant damage to them, so they weren't airtight or watertight.
Okay. Do you have any other county councilor updates?
Yes. There's 4 of those and 4 of these. That first is the draft of the contract that I've given to Mr. Ferris for abstracting for the next tax sale, if you will. I guess I should also tell you, I feel more of a collaborative effort going on with the tax sale now than we've ever had, and so that's a good thing. I have discovered that there's some things that we were doing manually that I was doing manually that we've got some ability to computerize. And Roger Denton has been a big help with that. Michelle has been a big help, and Connie has been helpful as well, and has certainly allowed access to the computer database. The second one I gave you is a spreadsheet. I had it sorted. I do want to tell you that those amounts that are on there are neither exact nor verified. I got a list several months ago of properties that had outstanding taxes, and those are the amounts that were there, and so they're not calculated up to date, and it could be on some properties that 2016 taxes have been paid because the second half of the 2016 taxes weren't due yet at the time that it was originally created. I probably made a mistake in sorting it from highest to lowest because I do want to get your attention about the very last one on there, for example, is $26.40 in taxes, and that's over at least a few, well, of course, one of those taxes is at least 3 years old, so I don't know if there's a point at which it doesn't make sense to spend $120 on abstracting and then the other costs and headaches associated with doing a tax sale. And I've not looked at each of those individually.
My suggestion would be, even though we'd lose money, that just because they're under the cost to proceeding, I would not let them get by with it.
Just for what would be our cost? I mean, you say 120 for abstracting
Yes.
plus
Well,
advertising.
we have 2 publications, and
how do you break that down to
Right,
parcel?
right. The longer publication costs more. It's hard, it would be difficult to determine, it would be impossible to determine before you actually did it what the excess cost would be. Every one of them would have to be served, although looking at those names, there are some of those that would be repeats. Would be served, you only have to serve somebody once, even if they have 5 different properties, they will have to be served one time.
You can't get some of these on repeat offender charges.
Yeah, that's not in the statute. But there,
That was a joke.
there are some names on here that are well known, but there are not a lot of those names that are well known. I could send you the spreadsheet if you're interested in it in Excel format, so you could
This is good enough for me.
Me as well.
search anyway. That is, you could switch it around by name if you wanted to, so that you could see where there were multiple properties. And if you're interested in the larger report, you could have that as well. Now, I did pull maybe 20 properties out of this, and those were typically properties that owed for a single year. That was a while ago, and so I've been sending letters to them trying to explain, I guess, the situation and warn them that if it gets sent for abstracting or inclusion in the sale, that the costs would be higher, and sometimes even higher than the cost of the property. We had one church that owed the solid waste fee. Well, we had several churches, but one of them that I wrote to sent a check that we got yesterday. It's 6 cents short because I just printed the statement that day, and I didn't I didn't take into account. But hopefully we can deal with that. But,
I can throw 6 cents in the pot if that helps.
Do you think we have any, well, I'm sure we do, elderly people that they just don't know they owe back taxes, and have they ever been written a personal letter informing them? Of course, that's a lot of extra work, but
yeah. Without going to each property,
you'd never know.
I wouldn't know. I could, we can certainly circulate the list to the sheriff, or I don't know if Adult Protective Services would be interested or not. But,
Well, something like this where you have a list and it's not finalized or anything, is that standard practice to let it out for people to see, or if they're
No,
do
I
you
would say
danger
not.
angering the public if it's like, well, the public saw it or it was in the Globe before I didn't know about it, and now it's in the Globe. It makes me look
Well,
like,
there's been articles in Globe where people hadn't paid their taxes in their name.
well, the statute requires every year that the treasurer publish a list of the people who haven't.
okay.
And so these have all been in there at least 3 times.
Well, then I didn't realize that, so that would cover that. I mean, if they're required to publish from the treasurer's office, this wouldn't really be any different. It would just be some singled out that owed in the beyond the 3 years or the time allotted, if it's a business.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a surprise, but you're asking a question about it. Is there an elderly person who may not understand what they received? And I haven't dealt with it. I don't know. We did have a couple of those in the last tax sale. And, people who claimed they had never had any correspondence from us, even though they've been personally served. And in one of the cases, they sent a letter to the court. I just didn't remember, I guess, that had happened. So I don't know how we would find that out without going around and checking individually on the properties.
Okay, on this contract,
Q.S. Properties LLC.
The very first
That's a
one?
Convenience store.
What?
That's a convenience store on 6th Street. in
Wow,
Skyway.
$36,000 up there.
This contract for abstracting, does that need to be
I don't think so
approved
yet.
today, or?
I don't think so yet. We don't have all the information that we need for this quite yet. And I haven't heard back from Mr. Ferris whether any changes in that he's suggesting
Okay,
or asking for.
so this is just for our information?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Let's just say, for example, Q.S. Properties or Turn Left or whoever these are, what do they have to do to redeem the property?
Well, before a sale's filed, they can just come in and buy or pay the taxes that make it so they're not 3 years delinquent. And if they do that, they wouldn't be included in the sale. After the case is filed, they would have to pay all the taxes that are owing at that time. So that would include.
So they could just stay 3 years delinquent forever?
2 o'clock.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we change those rules, or?
Johnson County went to the legislature and got authority they're the only county that has the rule that if somebody wants to pay an old tax, they have to pay the most recent tax year first. And we could ask,
Okay, so we have to get a special approval.
we would have to get legislative approval to do that.
I really don't know why they,
Well,
Would want
you could
the-
do a charter resolution to do it too, because it's not uniform, so you could do a charter resolution to make a.
And a charter resolution required a 3-0 vote.
It requires, no, it doesn't require a 3-0 vote, but it does require a publication and a protest petition possibility.
I really don't understand why people would want to pay the most recent tax owed, because they would still be, by having the oldest one stay intact, that's what's going to throw them into the tax sale. If you paid the oldest one first, it could potentially keep you out of the tax sale for another year.
And that's why Johnson County wanted the opposite policy, because they didn't want people remaining 2.5 years behind all the time. So they insisted that the newest one had to be paid first, so that you wouldn't have people that were.
Only catching up.
Yeah, I think you're going to see less of that now that the interest rate on unpaid taxes now has gone up to 10%, where it had been fairly low, and I think there are people making conscious decisions to not pay them.
When did that change?
July.
I guess I didn't pick up on that.
That's and that includes the taxes they owe in arrears.
Yes, yeah, Bill actually pointed it out to me. I didn't know that. And
I
then-
knew they were going to raise it. I just didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, it was 10. It was 10% before if there were more than $10,000 owed, but now it's 10% across the board, and it can go higher. There's an indexing to a IRS. I can't remember. It's indexed to some exterior.
That's really,
Well, before it was a low. It was cheaper than a loan.
Yeah.
On this first page, the very top one, is that 2 locations, or is that just the one?
That's just one.
Well, then, evidently, he's paying taxes on the other location. So is he saying that He's overvalued at that location? Is
I think that was
is-
on contract, somebody was actually buying it, so it was probably separated out. And that didn't work out, and I think the new owner hadn't paid, or from what I've gotten from him. So,
I'm a little hesitant about singling out a taxpayer and discussing it in open
yeah,
session.
That's
yeah,
why I said-
maybe I shouldn't have said that, but, it was, yeah.
There could be any number of reasons why.
That's a pretty good list. You'd think we'd be starting to get them cleaned up. How many's in total in here? Did you write down the total number?
You know, I didn't put that on there, but it's 140 some. I should have. Should have put a track number.
Seemed like there's a lot more, dollars involved.
Yeah.
That front page is pretty impressive.
But some of the front page were redeemed, the
Hmm?
last tax sale.
This is new.
Oh, but they were redeemed last tax sale.
Some of these were?
Patrick, explain that.
I don't. Once a tax sale is filed, they'd have to pay all the taxes that were due, and if they did that, none of those properties should be on here. Now, the first report, the report that we got from CIC had 312 or 314 properties in it, and half of those were properties that were in prior tax sales that the taxes hadn't been adjusted off yet. But I think we've got all of those pulled out of here.
Am I right, the people on this list who were on the list last year before the suit was filed, that redeemed 1 year?
Maybe some of them, yeah, definitely some of them.
That just redeemed the 1 year, and kept themselves
They
out.
did before the lawsuit was filed.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's true.
So they weren't part of the tax sale, but they were on the initial list before. Okay. I think that's where.
As long as they
we got-
knew they were gonna come up, they could go pay it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a good time to point out that they need to be looking out for that new interest rate on any of their taxes. They might be unaware that it's went up to 10%.
There are some repeat names. There were also several names on here that were first timers for me that I hadn't seen. Get into my list. Roger Denton's not here. I discovered that he is an expert on Microsoft Access, which is a program that I kind of started to use, and I think could be very helpful in doing tax sales.
He'll be back in at 2 because he's going to be here for the Shannon Township.
I've known
meeting.
people who can do Microsoft Access. It's a big tool.
It's a wonderful thing, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you have any, that's all of you on this subject,
That's
or?
on the tax sale, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, what's your opinion about if it costs more to collect the sales tax, or to collect the tax? I think we should still proceed.
I think proceed. I think
Even
part
though it's
of,
costing money, we gotta get it straightened out.
I think part of the reason we had such a big list build up is because we really didn't push this, and that it's gotten far behind because people thought, well, I'll just gamble that they're not going to press this or they're not going to do it. So if we come after it, I think it'll start taking care of itself. The list will get smaller as people realize we're serious about it. We're going to collect it. We're either going to collect it, or this property should get into some hands of people that are going to take care of it and pay the taxes.
Well, we've had, what, 2 tax sales? If you would put those on top of this, I mean, this could get this thick.
We've had,
Or 3,
4.
4? So,
Yeah, I of course, we're trying to catch up too, so, now this goes up, what's the earliest date on this one here? This would be to 14?
2012. The taxes
Is the most
have-
recent?
Yes. And taxes have to be, it's not just that they're not paid, they have to be delinquent for 3 years after July 1st, the year that they're due,
Mm-hmm.
or the year following when they're due. So right now, the 2015 taxes aren't there yet. It's 14, 13, and 12 are 3 years.
Okay,
So, I'm sorry, September 1st.
so it's
14,
12, 13, 14.
Yes.
Okay,
So these are all, well, it's 12. It doesn't matter whether they've paid 13 or 14. It's just 2012.
okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, and that seems to be another thing that people don't understand, that if they only have 1 year of back taxes, that they think they can't be in the sale, and they can if those are at least 3 years delinquent. So,
There's lots of confusion.
and this is not as aggressive as we could be, because it's 3 years for homestead property, it's 2 years for non-homestead property, and 1 year for vacant properties.
So that would be commercial property.
Well, yeah, it could be rental property or commercial. And we've never, CIC doesn't have a way to identify those as to what's homestead and what's not. And we've never distinguished between them.
Increasing it 10%, I don't know if that's not an incentive to pay your taxes on time. I don't know what is. That could add up pretty quick.
Yeah, that interest rate, really puts the time clock on. Tick, tick, tick tock.
Well, it also makes it get higher quicker that they couldn't afford them to start with. Now how are they going to afford them when they've got that much interest on it?
People's property rights should be protected, but at some point you have to take responsibility.
Do you have any other subjects, Pat, or are we done with that?
Yeah, looking back, the question about when was that lawsuit, it was filed February 14th. So,
On
This
on
year,
the Country Club Road.
Country Club Road.
6 months.
In my discussion with Dennis Foster, I also shared with him the spreadsheet that had been developed of the properties that had been discussed as possibly being nuisances, and he said they would do a report on them and give those to us if you're interested in pursuing that as well. We talked about the sanitation code.
Just a little bit. I guess I had a question, and if you haven't seen it, you wouldn't know, I guess. But when they talk about the water and the wells, is that an inspection of kind of like the sewer, if the property is going to change hands, that they would inspect wells? Or is that something that if you're got a several residences sharing a well, that it has to be inspected yearly? I guess I'm not clear really on where
I
they're
don't-
going with that. You
I
know?
don't know.
Okay.
He just mentioned water quality, and that's what I was thinking it was
Okay.
having to do with wells.
I know they'd mentioned wells up there my last meeting with them, but I didn't know if how much into the weeds he got or what he was suggesting.
And he had cataract surgery, so he can't drive for 2 weeks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That apparently he's working with his wife driving him around, so.
Looking at approaching.
Okay. Any executive sessions needed for anything?
There were a couple other things. Did you want me to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the end of this, that subject.
Of that subject, yeah. I got a call yesterday from Seth as I was coming back on Osborne Road. There's a property that someone has put railroad ties right next to basically a curb level on Osborne Road. That may not be safe, and of course it does encroach on the right of way, so that may be an issue that's coming up. There's also appears to be a retaining wall that's built that touches the road essentially. It's not built back. There's no setback at all.
So this has to be done the last couple of weeks then, correct?
I'm not sure. On Osborne Road, the railroad ties, yes. The retaining wall is not on Osborne Road.
Okay.
But it's a stone's throw away. I don't know how long it's been there, but it was just noticed, I think. And I'm not exactly sure whether or not it presents a danger on the retaining wall issue.
Well, if it's touching a right of way, it's approaching county property. Could be dangerous.
Yeah. Well, likely we'll want to confer with him when he gets back, and probably a letter to the landowner to.
Maybe drive out and look at
Find
it or
out.
something.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
It was yesterday afternoon. I probably should have really had some pictures for you, but I don't think that far in advance.
Do you have an address of where these are at, or they're just?
Yes. No. I know where it is, but
Oh,
no.
okay.
Probably wouldn't want to say that on camera
Yeah.
anyway.
Maybe we could discuss it after the meeting, or I could email the
Okay.
picture to you.
Yeah, that'll work. We might put the address there so we can drive by it sometime.
On the county lake, there was some discussion about if the state was interested in managing the property for us. And so I reached out again, but I think the decision that needs to be made is higher up than where I was having the discussion earlier, which was the field level. So I'll follow up on that, but I don't know anything more about their interest or willingness to manage that property for you. There was a question also a couple weeks ago about road damage and people mudding on the roads. There are already a couple of state statutes that apply. One is on reckless driving. There's another on, it's called, I think, racing on highways, but most people call it exhibition of speed or exhibition of acceleration, spinning the tires essentially. And then there's the run-of-the-mill criminal damage to property. And there have been cases, well, there's been at least one case where somebody's been charged with criminal damage to property for mudding on a road. To do a criminal prosecution is always going to have a difficulty of proof, because I don't know if anybody sees when it's happening and can identify who the driver is and is willing to
Testify or?
to fill out a report and testify that. I don't think it's practical to have a separate county resolution that applies. There are definitely some gray areas. That somebody who gets on a dirt road who thinks that it's dry enough to drive on and discovers that it's not. I don't think that's what they're upset about, but it's maybe
Absolutely.
a little hard to, in writing, to be clear enough to differentiate between the situation where,
Somebody that's out in their car, you can probably tell pretty much with a vehicle that they've got that they either made a mistake or they're intentionally mudding or running up and down these roads and creating a problem. Now, in those statutes you cite, are there fines already built into that, or do we set that as a commission?
there are fines that are set there. In addition, a court could order restitution if there's damage that's done.
Okay.
Um,
That was one thing that was suggested, that if somebody was found guilty of doing that, that it would be high enough that it would be really a deterrent. So I didn't know whether that was for us to set or not.
What about if, and I'm one of them, muddy road, well, I better take the tractor home and change the oil. And I make tracks in the road.
If you've got legitimate business there, you're a landowner along that road, or don't necessarily have, but it's from point, your land is right on the other side of that. I don't think there was any buddy I've talked to said that, if it's tore up by legitimate use, that there's a problem with it. Now, of course, if you got somebody gung-ho and wanted to press it, you may have to go through a little bit. If you had a new deputy or something that would see you or catch you, but I would think that would be easily taken care of. But this was specifically for intentional recreational destruction of property, of roads, and then it creates a safety concern. I don't think there's anybody that wants to limit legitimate use of the road. Not many people go down there with their tractor to go mudding. I mean,
No, but I'm just saying, that
yeah, you would have to be watched that it didn't get abused.
Well, like with lots of things in the law, intent matters, and intent's hard to prove. And sometimes it's obvious, but it can be more subtle.
well, majority of the time there's more than one vehicle, mudding or whatever you want to call it. There's two or three. Or
I think another group that it would probably be aimed at would be the coyote hunters, who love a muddy, wet day when they're not doing anything else to go out. And I think it would need to be, that wouldn't qualify as a business reason to be on those roads. I mean, that's enjoyment and recreation, and that wouldn't qualify to allow them
chances are,
on.
though, Eric, that's probably somebody that lives right around pretty close to the road. You wouldn't get somebody far away to bring their wolf dogs up there. You're going to have somebody within that neighborhood doing that, and it's going to be hard for somebody to turn their neighbor in.
I would say that probably the coyote hunters that I see there are not from,
Local?
not where they would be. I've never seen them on that road before, put it that way. Yeah, if it was somebody that was hunting coyotes on their own property or in that vicinity, that would be hard to prove. But, most of the time they're from a ways away. They like to get into a new neighborhood and turn the dogs loose. So, I guess we'll keep that. I think that'd be something good for the next county township meeting.
I think
discuss.
township needs to have a lot in that play,
Yeah,
decision-wise.
I
It's
agree.
always going to be the local landowners that are going to be the eyes and ears that are going to see those things. The sheriff isn't going to be out patrolling and see that. Or it'd be pretty unusual somebody on patrol to see that. And these roads you're talking about, I don't doubt they're patrolled.
You mean patrol
That was Mr. Falk, wasn't it?
I doubt they send a car out.
Car,
just to
I
drive.
didn't, how you meant patrol. I mean, with a road patrol or with a sheriff?
But with the sheriff just driving out to make sure everything okay.
Yeah.
And they do that around on a lot of roads.
We may have to shut that back off.
Yeah. Linda, you want to send a sign-up sheet around so we know who all's here? Hello.
We
Okay.
gotta wait till 2 o'clock.
Yeah. They're a little early, so.
I told him, come on in. I see Mr. Falk.
Yeah, I seen them out there. But they must. Are you done then, Pat? Was that the last?
Yeah.
I guess I got one thing here, and last year we talked about it and it was too late, but we have the K.A.C. Sponsors the townships that want to send in legislative ideas for them to request new legislation. And we talked about last year actually requesting a look into having the treasurer's term changed back to when the treasurer would take place, the changeover would take place the same time any other office does. Are we interested in as a commission to sponsor a bill or legislation or request from the K.A.C. to lobby for that change to come back? We talked about it last year. Commissioner Shealy was really in favor of that. We have until August 25th to basically put in a request form to them. For each one, and there's the questions. And that was just something I know we'd talked about last year, and it was too late in the year to get the request in. Also last year, I think it was so close to the deadline, but we said it was during an election year, it wouldn't look really good to sponsor legislation to maybe affect our current treasurer's.
Well, the Kansas
Election.
Association of Counties should represent us in the legislature.
What this is for us to actually push to get something started,
No,
to get the ball
I
rolling.
understand
Yeah.
that, so, hopefully, I don't know what their agenda is, they must come down and introduce it to you eventually.
Right. I think this would is a way for the counties to propose things that aren't being taken care of at the legislative end. You know, issues that matter to us. That
Well, I would think the tax levy would be one of them we'd want to change.
well, and that we could sponsor more than one. But
I don't think you'd want to be the first one to sign off on this, because usually the first one that signs off like a petition, they're the ones that start it. And if there's any feedback or backfire, they come to you.
fine. This was brought to my attention. We got the form, and
I've seen it.
just something to contemplate. We've got to the 25th if we want to sponsor any legislation. So.
We can think about, you want to put that on for agenda for next week?
Yeah,
Or
we
you want
can.
to get through the budget and stuff first? Or?
Why don't we probably can, or the.
It'd be a small budget, I think we have it on there.
All right,
I'd
next
like to
week.
think about it a little bit more.
Okay.
Put it on agenda for next week.
Talk about that.
Yes.
You can give her a copy of that.
Well, it'll be in the blue folder.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'll just leave it in the blue folder.
Did your township want any minimum maintenance signs? Because we have a man, and Seth said to start telling the townships. Minimum maintenance is like a dirt road. It's not, you forget about it, but
It's signed accordingly that it's not maybe maintained as well as a rock road, that it's kind of enter as at your own risk. That there could be.
takes a little bit of liability off you if someone go down and, do something stupid and get hurt. And
A lot of times out of county or out of maybe city people go down, see that sign, it might make them think twice about going down a minimum maintenance road. We had a meeting, when was our township county meeting?
They were there.
Oh, I said, when was that?
Oh, that was
Was it
what?
April?
Something like that.
March or April? And we discussed it quite a bit then, so.
Right.
I didn't think everybody had been here, so that's what was at that meeting.
We hadn't talked about it,
Okay.
you know. We're in the midst of right now going to try to work on about a mile of minimum maintenance road. Right now it's impassable. We're gonna try to fix it up because people would like to have it, farmers, you know, get to the fields rather than have to go way around, you know.
Well, we were just discussing also, I had a township in my neck of the woods that had requested having an ordinance or for these people that go out mudding on dirt roads, tearing them up, coyote hunters, that type of thing. What's your feeling about having a pretty good, well, I guess the fees are already built into the state law that governs that, but I mean, is that,
I'd like to say something before you, this is live, we record our meeting, so you're aware of that, okay? Now,
I mean, what's your gut feeling? Is that a good thing or a bad thing to actually try to pursue some of these people tearing up the roads, or are they taxpayers too? I mean, you hear that argument, so,
How do we go at that?
well, somebody would have to be seen tearing them up. They'd have to call the sheriff, and the sheriff would have to actually catch them. I mean, I guess things really haven't changed. You'd have to pretty much catch them in the act of doing it. And then we were discussing this earlier, there would actually be legitimate uses of the road. So somebody might have thought was joyriding, maybe he's a local farmer and maybe has rights to be down there working on fence or things like that. We don't want to ever touch, the local guys going in there, but you can pretty well size things up pretty quick when, if it's an intentional destruction of property.
We've had that
Yeah.
on this one particular road.
Mhm.
We shaped it up and it rained tonight. And tomorrow morning I went to check and they had just plowed it all to crap. So I waited till it dried, went back, shaped it up again, and I put 2-inch rock on it. Big stuff. And that did more good than anything.
Yeah. Well, it's 2:00, so,
Just keep carrying it up every time it's muddy, so
yeah,
see how far they can go.
yeah.
they don't realize what it costs to run a patrol down that road or what a load of rock costs. They don't have any idea and they really don't care.
Well, they're gonna have travelers.
That's right.
Yeah.
They go out there and they have their fun, they wash their vehicles off, and they go home to the next rain, and well, let's go out and have some more fun.
Simply what it is.
I personally feel that needs to be implemented more from the township. But you say there is counties that have that policy into place now, and
I'm not aware of that.
Oh.
There are state statutes that
Oh, I
cover.
see.
This is state.
that govern it, yeah. They could be
Donovan
used.
County has that.
Donovan County has that.
Donovan County has that.
Well, they got so many roads up there that's dirt, even their main roads. I mean,
Yeah. So how do they enforce it?
They take them to jail.
I mean, but it's,
Somebody call the sheriff when they come out. Fine them.
okay.
You take
Good.
that truly cheap, you can see.
Well, that's what's being talked about, if we can, start something like that and actually enforce it, so.
See, wintertime when they have all the problem up there, where they're out deer hunting with them 4-wheelers and stuff like that.
that would be a very good topic to bring up to the next county township meeting, and we probably need to schedule one of them probably before harvest or right shortly after.
If we got time. We'll make a time.
You don't see nothing in that cheap paper until hunting time, and that's when you always see it.
At my neck of the woods, it's coyote hunting. in the wintertime, and it'll rain or it'll get a thaw, and oh, we got time to go coyote hunting, and then they're on these roads, and
And I don't do private hunting, but to tear the roads up is a little different story.
right. Oh yeah, I'm glad to get rid of the coyotes, and I'm glad they're having doing it, but when
Yeah,
it
they just don't, like I say, just don't realize, and when you get them ruts in there and then you get another rain, if you don't get them filled in, water runs down and there goes some more of your road down the ditch.
yeah.
It's gone.
You look at it, though, it's probably 90% of the younger generation doing it.
Yeah.
My neck of the woods, it's ATVs and four-wheel drive pickups. Everybody's got one, and the muddier it gets, here they come out of town. Just they throw dirt on the highway for 2 blocks, and then gradually get it off.
Okay, well, gentlemen, what's your kind of state what you're here for?
And we're here looking for some help out there on Sedgwick. Across
Okay.
the Deer Creek, the bridge across Deer Creek.
Okay, what's
When the old bridge was taken out and the new one put in, it wasn't too long afterwards, and I really can't tell you the time frame. They come back, whoever, and the road was higher than the bridge. So they ground part of the road off. On the east side, they ground back 5 foot, 4 foot. On the west side, they ground back 5 foot. And it's just like a lift now. When you cross it, and I was out there the other day and I looked at it again, the road is roughly this much higher than the bridge again. And when you cross it, especially with a load, or even a vehicle, a regular, normal,
car?
average size, well, a car don't notice it quite as bad, because the suspension's a little softer. But you cross with a farm tractor or a loaded truck, and it just, when you cross it, it just takes the front end of the truck and it goes up and it comes back down. It's like a lift. What they should have did, and I don't know who okayed it, how it got passed, but they should have, their idea was good of grinding, but they should have went back a lot further so it wasn't so severe.
Okay, it's just too.
And it's getting worse.
I don't know why they didn't build the bridge up.
Take combine a corn head over there and you just got down there and stopped and
Cornhead will hit.
hit a jar.
You get to bouncing on that.
Yeah,
Well, drop ship.
It'll bounce you clear.
If you're going north, you drop onto the bridge. And when you come south, the north end's bad too, but that's not as bad as the south. But when you come south, of course, you're coming uphill to boot,
Mm-hmm.
and if you ain't watching, you might hit your head on top of the cab.
Okay. This is the first today's the first I've heard about this, so.
I'm sure that's true.
About what year was the bridge replaced? Do you remember?
2004
I
time
think
frame?
it was down, 2004.
Okay.
3 or 4. I'm sure the date's on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Roger may have that. You have that information, Roger?
I do. And again, I'm not representing anything here except what's occurred.
Oh, you got pictures.
I
That's
got
good.
I got pictures. I went out and
Oh, excellent.
took. Now I didn't run enough for the whole crew, but you all know what it looks like.
We know.
I want to make sure that all the commissioners are getting this, and I can make you a set for the record. Actually, let me do this so that they know what it is. What it is I'm showing you. And then additionally, here I've got 3 more that show where the bridge is exactly. And from looking at it, and again, you may think, what good am I doing talking about this? I was public works director for the city for 12 years, so what it looks to me like what has actually happened, there's actually 3 slabs. If I put north up on this, there's the bridge abutment, and you have the apron off the bridge, and then you have another transition slab, and then you have the road. And what it looks like has happened is that bridge apron looks like it settled down an inch or 2 shortly after it was built. And it's
I've got
really tough to put just a little bit on top of something and get it to stay. So what they did is instead of adding to the apron, they took off where the road is.
All right, I'm sorry.
And what that does, I don't know if you've got it. Because the bridge is at the bottom, and then it's coming up, and you got these slabs. So what happens is that what happens right here is when this settles down just a little,
You had to drop
then
off.
this is up. Now, when you mill this edge off, it gives you a dip right here. And so it's one of those things that you might be well off if you could put a little asphalt in on top of it if it's down there a little ways. Actually, you might be able to fill this whole area in with asphalt and actually be a better transition.
I talked to the road supervisor this spring and asked him whether there could be some asphalt put to make that more of a gradual, and he said it would not work.
Who did?
The road supervisor,
Okay,
Seth.
all right.
Be too thin.
he said it wouldn't stay.
Big truck.
Well,
just tear it
I don't
down.
know.
And that is the problem is, anytime you're trying to put something that's less than an inch or two on top of a concrete, because concrete's a rigid pavement and then that asphalt's flexible, you try and put it on top, it's tough to get a little bit because they're using 3/4 inch aggregate in it.
Right.
And so, you know, sometimes you can use something that's got, there are mastics that are made now that might work in a situation like this, but any of them are gonna be a little questionable in what they do. You could go back, they could taper this further, or they could look for some way to build that up a little, or, but again, without looking at the plans, I don't know how thick that apron slab is. My guess is it's 9 inches or so thick.
Oh, it's thick.
And so those are usually really thick because, well, because they get a lot of, yeah, a lot of pounding
Would
on
it
them.
be possible to cut the cement, put a bar grating across that? It would have to be a big bar grating, I admit.
Well, and again, I'm only here to give you information. I can't speak on behalf of the road and bridge. I'm a guy in the basement who has just worked with this stuff before and was asked by the clerks if I could take a look so that you would have better information to deal with here.
I wonder if it could be like mud jacked up, you know,
I almost would have said that myself, but I was being a little cautious because I don't know all the ins and outs of mud jacking. But it might be worth seeing if that could be done. But a lot of times in the case of mud jacking, they need to dig down along that edge to work it. And by that time, you've already cut this section out of here. So I just don't know what the economics would be, whether it would be worthwhile or not. You may end up be in a situation where you need to replace like a portion of that apron to try and bring it up.
if we were going there and say tear that up, how many feet roughly you think we're talking? And re-pour it?
The apron itself, because I measured it, on one side, because the road, of course, is north and south, and the bridge sits on an angle. And on the west side, it's 35 feet from the bridge to where that apron stops.
I see
On the
it.
east side, it's 21 feet. So consequently, the apron on the southern part of it is parallel with the road, but then the bridge sets on an angle, so that part is angled there. That's where you get the difference from 35 on one side and 21 on the other.
That one's actually kind of,
I actually just took a red pen and drew on there where those slabs were, because it helps you understand. What I would actually suggest doing.
that's right.
The
angle is,
And I don't think you can give an answer here today, but what I would suggest you do is take a long straight edge out there, lay along the road because you've got a transition upward, and just see where the dip is, and then figure out from that what the best situation is to try and take the dip out. That's what I would suggest.
So there's no failure of the concrete, or it's not a dip, or it's not soft or anything. Everything's solid. It's just uneven.
Well, yes, it's uneven, but when they ground it on a taper, like he's showing there.
Right.
When you cross that and you hit that, it wants to take that truck on up.
It's
and
like
then-
it's a ramp.
then
Become a
goes
ramp,
down.
and yeah,
It's like a ramp,
yeah.
yes.
But I would just want to make sure that there was no spongy spot or.
No, it's
okay.
solid, because it's all concrete.
Right.
If you were to go out there and look at that, you can see where they're going up the hill, something's bottomed out and scraped on many occasions.
Yeah, well, I'm going out and look at it, but this, like I say, today's the first that I've heard of it, so.
Going up the hill is a real.
I have photographs on both sides of those sheets I handed you to try and better show you exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Roger, because that's a big help to visualize what you're
It
talking
gives you a
about.
better impression of what's going on.
You get to that straight trip, that front end comes way up on you. I mean, you don't have to hit 20 mile an hour, but then you slow down real slow, and you gotta have to do a low time to get up the hill.
Hauling grain.
Hauling grain's a real problem because you want to hit that hill at 45 mile an hour like the speed limit allows you. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's a hill right there by the old Bromley Quarry.
Yeah,
It's-
this is just right across down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Okay, I took it by this photograph, that's where it had to be, but like I say, I'm not familiar with where everything's at up there, so, but I will go up there.
Slow down slow, then you can shift them all the way up that hill.
Oh,
And if you break an axle, you're in hell with it.
yeah. Well, we'll sure see what we can do about it. You know,
It's bad enough if you got a load on a single axle truck, you could break a spring. It's that, it jars it that bad. It really gives you a thrill.
You don't hit it too hard, because your head hit the cab.
been there, done that. Not on that bridge, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
In your
There's
opinion,
that much bounce to it.
we got enough people, in your opinion, what is the proper thing to do to fix it? Grind it down, tear it up and re-pour it?
If it can be ground down, you know, we probably need to see really how thick our concrete is there, because it needs to be taken on back quite a ways to take that lift out of it. In other words, it gradually
You
gotta,
gotta get somebody out there to know what he's doing. I mean,
you know, if it can be
look at it.
taken down by grinding, anything just to, so we can cross it more safely.
Anything will help.
Yeah, it needs attention. And say, I don't know if it's that thick. I would wonder if we could go in there and you have to jackhammer it down deep enough where you would, what you poured would be thick enough that it would stay, but then you would have a kind of make basically a slot and then re-pour it, taper it. If this was there where you'd actually kind of go down in here, chisel that out or jackhammer it out, and then you pour the new part, but then it would be, that part you pour would be thick enough that it wouldn't break apart. That'd be my guess. But again, that's not something that's going to fix itself overnight. That would have to be kind of a major repair, but at the same time, a wreck or something there isn't good either.
Well, we need to see if Seth can get it fixed before harvest.
Yeah, Seth is on vacation this week, so we will get with him and see what. And I know that's a lot of traffic on that road too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I would think he should get that traffic counter out there too for our get a count on there how much traffic's on there. That's
That might be all right, but I don't,
not
I
that
think
it.
that's really not information that's gonna help us any. If there's 500 cars or 1,000 cars, we got a problem in the road and needs to be fixed.
We've got to be going fast enough to get up that hill. That's the key. So-
Well, it's easier to justify if you've got, if there's 1,000 cars on there and it's a little more expensive fix, you can justify it. That's where I'm going with that. If you've got people say, well, we didn't get that, well, you know,
If you was out there on a Saturday and watched the people come across that bridge, turn on 314th, and go down there to where the Indian hut is and circle around, I live where I can see them. That's all they do, go down there and circle around, and they come back, and they drive back. Their traffic count on a weekend is, you wouldn't believe.
okay.
My thinking is, and hopefully it never happens, but someday possibly, a car going north and one coming south, and some of them do love to drive. They drive way more than the speed limit out there. And somebody's gonna hit that and lose control, and there's gonna be a wreck right
If
there.
you get slick, that's when you're gonna have your problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Wet or
it's
slick.
just, we've been fortunate so far that we haven't had that problem, but
Okay.
we don't
Well,
wanna see it. Plus, it'd be more comfortable for us to cross it with a truck.
well, that's putting undue stress. If a truck is going across there or bouncing, you know that's putting you know, that's not good on the bridge either if you're coming down and
Well,
putting it,
exactly.
because it's both ways. And are you, when you're coming
Down the hill.
down the hill, you bounce onto the bridge too, don't you?
You bounce on the bridge. Coming
That's not a good thing.
South, you don't hurt the bridge. It's just that it launches you when
Right.
you come off of it.
Dwayne's got that short base, forward, and his horse yet is, I mean, the long.
Bobtail truck.
Long base ain't so bad, that short one, it knocked clear out of the cab.
It isn't any better with our 40-foot trailer, let me tell you. You used to be able to find a route. You could kind of work your way. I mean, I would literally go on the wrong side of the road if there was nobody coming, and then you could veer back and it would be better. But that don't even work anymore.
It's definitely worse on the east side.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, usually, anytime I'm in a truck and want to go over to the other side, that's when you meet somebody who's on the bridge. So that usually fails.
That
It's
usually
just.
fails.
Really, when you go out there, you take and see how rough that blacktop is, you just like this here all over.
Okay.
Combine, you can't run a combine down at full speed.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go out and look at it today. So.
Yeah, when you drive out there, you'll see that road just like that there. I mean, it's rougher. When last time they blacktop it, and left seams all over it, I mean, the high seams.
Now, you're talking about the whole road now, not just this bridge.
Yeah.
The whole road.
Well, the whole road's
Well, from
bad, but the bridge is really, really bad.
The dangerous place. Yeah.
Yes.
taking sideways corner as well, the whole road's that way.
Okay. Well, we'll get with Seth and see what can be figured out.
Look
And it-
over.
It might,
Appreciate you guys listening to us.
sure, it might take a while to kind of figure out what we're going to do, because that's not just a typical fix, like I say, and it might have to be shut down one lane or at a time or something to work on it. I don't think,
I haven't seen it, but I'd almost venture to say that's gonna have to be sawed, cut out, report.
or at least a partial pour, like I was saying, where you could put in a thick transition, basically, between the bridge and the apron.
Well, yeah, you just gotta get it, whatever, if you do take some out, you gotta go from the bridge floor back to the other, so it ain't a ski launch.
Yeah,
So that it goes back a lot further, so it's more of a, in other words, they blend together.
yeah, transition,
Yeah,
where it's just
exactly.
smooth.
Yeah, because when you get this in there, it's just, and that's what we've got, only it's real severe right now. Because it's, like I say, they only grounded back 5 foot on the west, and I think 4 on the east, or vice versa. And, that ain't very far. And they took quite a little off,
Mm-hmm,
and it just launches you.
okay.
So,
Well, I hear you loud and clear.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
if
you.
there's anything more, I'm not trying to get you out of here or anything.
Oh,
'Cause-
well.
no, it's,
Go out and look at it and see what you think.
yeah. Give us a little time, because it's gonna, like I say, it might have to have somebody come in and look at what we can do on that.
On another matter, if we do have another, we're gonna have, there's anything that you would like to have on the agenda?
Oh, with the county township meetings like we had.
Is there anything that you would like to discuss? You'll have some time to think about it.
Okay.
We'll probably have it, I'd like to have it, maybe the next 60 days, but
Okay.
either it'll be that or it'll be later on after crops are out.
Yeah, if there's anything need on the agenda, let us know.
I'll see Gilbert tonight, so I can talk to him about it, and talk to Tim. See, I appreciate the meeting you had. It was very enlightening.
Well, I think
I like the paper that Seth sent out. Did you guys get a copy of that?
No.
like a
That was
newsletter.
kind of a newsletter. That was very good. You
No.
know-
Did they ever get the new guidebook or whatever they call it printed yet? 'Cause it was in the making, and I told
don't
them
know.
we would like to have one.
I don't think
Okay.
it has been.
I don't think it has been.
That was Norm Bowers who was doing that.
That was Norm Barris that said that.
Okay. Because I knew it was in the making, but didn't know when it was gonna get printed.
Yeah, that come more from the state than
Right.
Atchison County.
I used to have a copy of that newsletter in here for you. I don't think I've got it anymore.
Yeah, we talk like we'd like to maybe have 2 of those a year or something like that, kind of.
Okay.
No, I don't
Keep
have
in
one.
touch.
We'll make sure Seth gets one out to you. Okay.
I got things to do.
Well,
No,
we better get
not
out
really.
of
Thanks, guys, for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to discuss
Thank you,
these
Eric.
things.
Bill?
Here, I've got, anybody want my number?
Sure, sure, thank you.
How you doing?
Thank you.
You bet. Need to bring some more in.
Okay, Roger.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks for the pictures, that helped.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to interfere.
No,
Oh, no, I really, I'd seen you come in and kind of lost track of it, never thought of it, but yeah, that's really good. Also kind of shows that somebody was actually looking into what they were talking about and cared to,
The best thing to do is, I think if you can go out and take a straight edge, see how to get rid of the dip and come up with the best solution. I wouldn't mind taking a look at it, get stuff and get back or.
we may, I don't know what next week, but if next week's light, maybe we could put that on agenda, have Seth with us. Roger would like to see it, we just go out there and look at it. I don't know if where we're gonna be on the budget's the only thing, but.
yeah, we could kind of play, well, Seth isn't going to be here next Tuesday yet.
Oh,
He
he's
don't
not.
get back until Tuesday night late,
Oh,
so
well.
he won't be here next week. So that'd make the 15th.
So is Jimmy found out if we're gonna get the numbers back
She
yet?
was
or-
gonna come back in, but she hadn't come back in yet.
It's been that way a while. It's not a sudden thing.
Well,
but
I
it's
got,
bothering me.
I got an email, I think it was an email from Seth or phone conversation. And he said he would like to see the complaints come through him, and I said, I agree. And Mr. Falk told me that he's talked to Seth more than one time about it. And one time Seth said something, or he suggested something, and Seth said it wouldn't work, and next time he just kind of blowed him off. So then they did go through the proper channels. They should go through the road and bridge superintendent, and then if no results, come before us.
I mean, I agree with that's who are to deal with it first, but, you know, as a commissioner, a lot of times people are going to come to us first. So, I don't know, do we
I always
encourage them to talk to Seth before allowing them to come here?
I
Or-
do. If they ask me something, they say something, the first thing out of my mouth, have you notified Seth the road and bridge, or if you notified whoever they're talking about? And if they say no, I said, well, that's the first step. Then no results, then you come. We always have open meetings, but go through the proper channels first.
I will send Seth a text or an email.
Seth was aware of
That
it.
says that I'm willing to discuss this issue with him so that he knows what went on here.
Okay. Did you want those pictures back? Or?
No,
All right.
no, I just
I'm gonna
thought
go-
that'd be helpful to you.
Okay.
So that you could see what they were talking about.
I'm going to take these over there and I'll see if Jamie's got any information for us.
All right.
Before we close.
Excuse
Do you
me?
want that on the agenda for the 15th?
What?
Seth coming in about, talking about.
He's not gonna be here the 15th, he said.
No, he'll be here
Oh.
the 8th. He'll be here the 15th.
He could be here the 15th.
Why don't we put it on the agenda, we'll discuss it, and then if we wanna go look at it, we can go look at it. But at least put it on the agenda so we can discuss it. We didn't bring up about budget. I presume Shannon's got theirs in, or do you know? I know in my area, Mount Pleasant and Walnut, I need to talk to get their budgets in.
Yeah, I talked to Dolores Service today.
Did you?
Yeah, and,
She's Mount Pleasant.
right, and they are wanting to set up an appointment with Michelle the next couple weeks. And she thought she had it in, but Michelle said she don't remember her bringing anything in. So she's gotta bring in, what she has to us. And then, she wanted to set up a meeting for this Thursday, but I didn't know if Michelle would be ready for it yet. That's where she's going this afternoon.
We'll know more about it, but we may have a special budget workshop this Thursday as well.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Noel wanted a copy of this as well. From the commissioner down south about how they start their budget and kind of a time thing, and we all got it electronical, but I thought it was very good. Chairman Noel went over to our HR, here he comes now, to see if we can get some figures for our budget. That's why there's been a little bit of a lull in our meeting, and here they come now.
Didn't realize I walked in here. Whew. A lot of hot air in here.
You're the one that's been
Cool
talking.
minute. It was me, I admit it.
I talked with some of the department heads, and they kind of gathered some opinions on their employees as far as the e-clubs. It kind of came to, there were some that would rather close and do the vacation day. There were some that would rather work, but at least specifically close while the eclipse is going on so we could walk outside and see. Connie did say that Donovan County is actually doing the same thing as City Hall, that they're close to the public, but employees are still coming in to work. If we did do that, that would give, I think, department heads a little more wiggle room that if there was somebody specifically with medical issues or to want to fight the traffic or wanted to spend time with their children for the eclipse, they could take a vacation day and it would leave the office shorthanded to be open to the public. So that would still give people options.
The kids are going to be in school.
I think
Well,
more than 4 nights closed.
What will people do at daycare? I mean, that'll be a nightmare to put all those people in looking for daycare.
well, I think there's
that's,
going to.
That's
go
the
ahead.
employee's choice whether to keep their kids home or not, I guess. But
So what you're saying is, the general consensus is that they want to come in, but those that want to take off, they would take it off as a vacation day.
correct.
I'm fine with that.
And also,
So
it but
that
would be,
you would close to the public.
so the public wouldn't be able to come and do services, but they could do training or they could do.
Well, I thought
do
the
work-
ones that showed up in that office would conduct business as,
Well, this is a different option. This is almost a split between the two. It would be closed to the public, but everybody would be working, except for those that chose to take a vacation day or those that were actually going to be working, but maybe helping coordinate or traffic or answer phones and things like that.
well, we
vote
need
for
to set it.
business as usual. If they want to give them a half-hour window to go out and look at the eclipse, we can lock the door for half hour or whatever. mean,
I guess
we're
I
here to
really
serve
do-
the
uh-huh.
people of Atchison County.
How are you going to deny if they say, I'm taking that day off, that's one of my vacation days? you cannot deny it, so they have that option.
Well,
even
the
though-
supervisor has to approve a vacation.
Yeah, the
Yes.
supervisor, I mean, the supervisor could deny it if they feel like they're gonna be short-staffed.
Well, that's probably the one that should make the decision anyways, or head of department.
Well, didn't Wes say that their 409 was talking about closing?
And I think he got word earlier that they were going to, last time I heard, but.
I mean, there's maybe kids.
I don't know what
Home.
the parents will do for daycare.
I don't either. I guess where I'm at is, I hate to put it off, but I mean, why don't we think about this for a week, and by then Wes will have met with them other
There's, 3 more meetings about it this week. And
3 meetings, and then I think we would know a lot more, and I would feel more comfortable making that decision then. I would probably lean towards business as usual if it was one or the other, but
But then allowing to close during the actual.
I would definitely, yeah, if that's a once in a lifetime event. If people can't walk out and go out there and look at the eclipse, that I have no problem with that. Matter of fact, I want them to go do it. I would be all in favor of them go out and check it out, make an event out of it.
30 minutes.
I'm more
Yeah.
interested in the budget at this point.
Yeah.
When's Patsy can have the information to us?
I haven't gotten a hold of her. I've been working on revenues. Estimates.
See, we was wanting her to get the figures so we could have a special meeting Thursday because.
If
our
you hear
timeline-
something,
our
let us.
timeline's getting.
Yeah, get with Michelle and she can get with us if there's something for us to work on Thursday.
Yeah, I definitely.
We need to know it
Get some more
ASAP.
estimates, see if I can get some more numbers to her to have a little more information to them to put together.
So she doesn't have enough information.
She has quite a bit, but I'm still working on some of the general fund revenues estimates,
So she
non-tax
she
revenues.
can't do it unless you give her the information.
Right.
So it's not likely she'll have it done if we haven't given her.
Well, I'm going to say if we don't get it done, then we plan on the 10th, the Thursday. So we have a regular meeting next Tuesday and then come in on Thursday.
Either that or come in Monday. I mean,
Well,
I
isn't that?
come in any day next week. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I guess I can too. Didn't Seth say he had a meeting? Was that?
Seth's on vacation all this
Or not
week.
Seth? Wes. I'm sorry, I said the wrong name. On Monday, wasn't one of his meetings, planning meetings? Wasn't that on Monday? I'm believing that.
It was tomorrow.
Well, he had one
Oh, okay.
Thursday.
He had 2 or 3 meetings.
And he had 2 or 3 meetings, and I'm thinking that one was on Monday.
We just got to start a sense of urgency on this budget. We've been dragging our feet for 3 months on it.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
Well,
Let's be the cable guy.
if we don't hear anything and can't do it this Thursday, let's pencil in
Monday?
the 10th for sure. Or,
I mean, sorry, you're talking about the 10th?
yeah, the 10th.
I think sooner the better.
First part has to be done by the 15th.
Yeah, it has.
Because that would still give us.
10-day publication notice before you approve. And then.
And does that have to be
25th.
published on the 25th or
Has to be
10 days before that?
10 days.
So
Well,
that would only give us 5.
well, so, because it's only, I didn't look at them. They publish on Wednesday and Saturday. So,
It'd have to be the 12th. Let's
I'm
make it
hoping to
Monday.
have the rest of those revenue numbers done here pretty directly and then send them to her, and I was planning on giving her a call to see if we can still do something Thursday, but I need to. So I just,
Okay, well, let's wait on that. If we can't do it Thursday, let's plan on Monday then.
9 o'clock all day?
9
Just
o'clock.
send out a,
I'll let
Text message.
Michelle know, and
send out a text.
Hopefully
reminder.
Patsy can do that for us. But you have to get the numbers first.
yeah. But surely we should have something back by Monday, shouldn't we?
I would hope so. Yeah. And I'm gonna ask her if she can have it to us sooner, but
Okay.
you were wanting to discuss that possible position change. Can we hold that off for?
Well, I was just talking about it. I think we gotta wait till after the budgets.
Okay.
I think they'll have to be list the auditor.
That's why I was, that's why I emailed you yesterday, because that's what I've been focused on is the budget, so.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I don't.
No executive session, no. Well, with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn
So moved.
at 2:36?
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Pass 3-0. You are now adjourned.
Stop.
Yeah. Clicker on, yeah, the second one down, it says stop. That thing don't cooperate very good. No, over. Where it says, you
Need
don't,
a new mouse.
that drove me crazy when it was set, when I was in that
Well, the
spot.
mouse costs like $9.